And just like that, we're into the mid-tier characters. So, this character's a lot of fun. We're getting into actually good characters. You can see I call them just solid characters. These characters aren't really going to win you games necessarily, or they're not going to carry your team in any way, but they're good characters. They're generally going to be picked in almost every single game. We're at that point in the tier list, so let's get right into it. So we're going to start this off with Waluigi. This is the first high volatility character in this game, and this is one that most people are going to think that I underrated, but I got a little bit to talk about this guy. So everyone puts him at pitcher because you see the stat card, and he says 9 out of 10 pitching, he's the best pitcher, whatever. That's not true. There's better pitchers. Boo, Diddy, and Dixie, I think, are just much better pitchers than him. If you want to talk about objectively at pitcher's mound, then those three are still better than him. If you want to talk about better characters overall, I think Daisy's in the contender for being a better character overall than Waluigi, while also being a pitcher. Even at one point, we considered Goomba to be just a better utility than Waluigi. So the reason he's actually trending up in the meta, or I feel like he might trend up higher in the meta in the future, is because he's got two abilities, Laser and Super Jump. He's the only character in the game with those two abilities, and that's actually so broken, that combination, to be a first baseman, or a third baseman, I should say. And I don't know why we haven't done this sooner. He has so much potential to be a fantastic third baseman, and nobody puts him there. So I think he'll trend up a lot if people start playing him at third base rather than the pitcher's mound. Again, there's no shortage of good pitchers in this game, so you can draft him on your team and not actually pitch him, and you'll be fine. He also gives you the advantage of being a relief pitcher too later in the game. A problem that other players in this game have, like Boo, is that if Boo does get tired, if you allow 7 runs, if you allow 7 runs, then Boo has to play somewhere in the field, and he's not going to do well there. Boo will do fine at first base, but that's really it. You don't want to have to put Boo out in the field somewhere. So Waluigi doesn't have, Waluigi is, on the other hand, a great relief pitcher, and it gives you a lot of options. I think the idea, having options as a player while you're in the game is something is pretty underrated. A pretty underrated aspect of this game. You'll see me talk about this a lot in the next character, Luigi, also with Toadsworth, Donkey Kong, a few of those characters that give you a lot of options as a player. I think it's a very underrated and underlooked or overlooked player attribute. And Waluigi does give you options. So he's going along with this third base idea. If your infield consists of something like King Boo, Wario, and Magic Koopa, all of characters of which he has chemistry with, if I'm not mistaken. I know Wario and Magic Koopa he has chemistry with. Pretty sure he has chemistry with Boo and King Boo, but I might be wrong on that. I probably should have figured that out beforehand. I'm pretty sure he has chemistry with Boo. If you have those characters in your infield, it's actually very solid. You got chemistry going all around your infield. It's very threatening. It's going to be very hard for people to play against that. So I think he'll trend up a lot, actually, if people start putting him at third base instead of pitcher's mound. So what is there about him that's not that good? So he doesn't really do anything else, actually. He doesn't have a good start, so no home run potential. He's slow. There's no weird Bowser gimmick, right, like Bowser Jr. has. So he doesn't really do anything else. He's gonna be pretty solid if you put him at pitcher's mound. He's gonna be a lot better if you put him at third base. A lot of people complain about a singles bat. He does have a very small bat, so it could be hard to get singles with him. I put fairly consistent because personally I get on base with him quite a bit. But again, that could just be me. A lot of players complain about his singles bat, so I did want to at least verbally mention that he could struggle to get on base. But if you do make contact with the ball, good contact with the ball, he will get on base. Good amount of time. So yeah, Waluigi gonna be trending up if people start putting him at third base. I see a lot of potential in this character. Not many characters that have his high volatility. He's one of them, and I think there's a lot of potential for him to move around this meta. Moving on to the next character, Luigi. Again, moderately volatile. So you're drafting Luigi as a 9th pick almost every single time. You don't pick him earlier than that usually. He's versatile, so he's usually a safe pick on your team. He'll play baseball a lot, because he's, like I said, he's a safe pick. He can fill a lot of different roles on your team. He's a character that both plays the outfield, which is where most people play him, or he can play third base or first base because of super jump. He's he'll get on base when you bat with him. He's got pretty good singles bat. He's pretty good in the field. He's not crazy good in the outfield. He's not like a Yoshi. He's not crazy good at third base like Magikarp or King Boo, but he'll do a pretty solid job. And for this reason, he gets a lot of playtime. He's pretty solid in the outfield. His main drawback is his throwing arm. So he's got a 50 throwing arm. Now you can see I put a couple comparisons there. Baby Mario, Baby Luigi have 30, which I believe is the weakest in the game. Petey has 100 throwing arm stat, which is the best in the game. He's got 50, so it's like on the lower half. Dixie's got 70, which is about where you want to be if you're playing the outfield, because we all know Dixie's got a great throwing arm. So that's his main drawback, but in general, he's a very solid all-around character. He kind of fits this, he fits the mid-tier idea of solid characters pretty well. And so he's mildly volatile because he has wall jump, and he's fairly fast. So wall jump with this character actually comes into play somewhat, a good amount, especially if I'm in right field. So, in a meta where, again, like wall jump starts to become more prevalent, he could trend up. But other than that, I think that's really it for Luigi. Like I said, he's this all-around solid character. He sees the field a lot. It's very rarely a bad idea to pick Luigi. So I think in general that's kind of another way to find these characters, that picking them is never really a bad idea, unless you want to get into like complex drafting theory where you're like, oh, you should have picked X, Y, Z. Who cares? So that's Waluigi. Next on the list, Mario. So another moderately volatile character. He is trending a good amount up right now, and that's mainly because of his star swing. So first of all, he's got a pretty good singles bat. He can play the outfield, but he's a little bit worse than Luigi because he's slower, and his wall jump doesn't go as high as Luigi. I think Luigi's goes the highest, but I could be wrong. I know Luigi's goes very high. Mario has a very low wall jump, so a lot of times he'll wall jump, and the ball will just go through him or go right over his head, and he doesn't catch it, and it's very frustrating. So, yeah, that's where Mario comes to play. He's got an incredible star swing. The fireball goes right through people. The way to counter his star swing is pretty simple. You actually just want to try to jump into it with an infielder, because your infielder will get burned, but the ball will kind of pop up again, someone else can catch it. If it goes to the outfield, then just let it hit the ground. Don't challenge it. His star swing is pretty much unless an infielder hits it, it's gonna be it'll be a guaranteed single. If that ball gets past the infield, Mario's getting on base. He's probably gonna drive in some runs, and that whole 9 yards. So yeah, he can play the outfield pretty well. Again, like, he's not gonna be great, but he'll play it pretty well. And yeah, you're really drafting him for his star swing. But in a metagame where Captain Mario starts to trend up a lot more, then I can see him being a lot better. I can see him going up to B+ tier. But other than that, I think this is a pretty good placement for him right now. So much else to talk about with Mario. I think that's pretty much it. His star swing's fantastic. I said that like 3 times already, but it's just very good. Moving on, we're going to talk about Dixie Kong. So Dixie Kong, she's a great pitcher, and not a lot of people know that. So, I lost my train of thought there. Yeah, she's a great pitcher. She can play the outfield, but she has a weird problem where her dive doesn't work properly. Her dive is incredibly short. So not only she's only base 60 speed. She's got base 60 speed, and she's got a glitched dive, so she has a little bit less range than you think she does. She's got a better throwing arm than Diddy Kong. At the trade-off of less speed. And yeah, I'm gonna compare, honestly. It's hard for me to talk about Dixie Kong without talking about Diddy Kong. Yeah, I'm pretty much just gonna talk about both of them right now. Moderately volatile. Actually, I think Dixie Kong's trending down because I think Diddy Kong is pretty much a better option in almost every scenario. But this is Dixie Kong right now. She's a great pitcher. She got sideways release angle. She got a lot of curve in her pitch. I believe it's base 70 curve, And for context, Waluigi also has base 70. Boo has 90. What else? Daisy has 60, I believe. So base 70 curve stats pretty good. Yeah, this is a great pitcher. She's usually the go-to option if your opponent takes Boo. Most players go with Dixie Kong. That was until the data mine came out and we realized that Diddy Kong was also a solid pitcher, so Diddy Kong trended up very quickly. And yeah, pretty much the comparison between Dixie Kong and Diddy Kong is that Dixie Kong's got a better throwing arm at the exchange of lower speed. She's got a lower curve stat from pitching at the exchange of a sideways release angle. So Diddy Kong throws the ball pretty straight. Dixie Kong throws the ball at an angle. Same idea with Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong pitches the ball at an angle. Her singles bat's also a little bit more consistent than Diddy Kong. Diddy Kong can struggle to get on base. Why not I just move on to Diddy Kong now? Because I talked good about him. But Diddy Kong has a pretty good star swing, and I think this is why I give the edge to Diddy Kong. So moderately volatile because he has been trending up a lot lately, and he might go up a little bit higher. So in general, I think Diddy Kong might be going up, and Dixie Kong might be going down. I consider him to be a better pitcher than Dixie, but because I don't think that the sideways release angle is actually that important. Some people do, but I don't personally. I've never had a problem hitting those pitches. The star swing with Diddy Kong is really the main selling point. It's Donkey Kong's, but slightly worse, but it's still very good. Essentially, as long as Yoshi's not in the outfield against you, his star swing is likely to land. And it'll give you some RBIs, almost pretty much guaranteed single, if not a double. Yeah. Again, he's a very versatile character. I mentioned this Waluigi and Luigi. I mentioned this Luigi. Versatile, so he can play pitchers very well, but he can also play the outfield incredibly well. He's one of the best outfielders in the game. 70 base speed plus super catch. Hard to beat that. Well, Yoshi beats that pretty easily. But, yeah, hard to beat that. So, the reason I bring up versatility with him is because, I mentioned this before, but the problem that Boo has with pitchers is that if he gets tired, you're going to mess up your field trying to switch him out of pitchers. Because Boo doesn't play the field very well. So, let's say you have Boo on your team. He gets tired. You have to switch him out. Okay, well, I got, I don't know. Let's say you have Daisy playing shortstop. So you switch Boo and Daisy. Daisy's now the pitcher now, but now Boo's at shortstop. That's not good because Boo's a horrible shortstop. So now you got to switch Boo with Hammer Bro, who's playing first base right now. Boo's on first base, pretty happy, but now Hammer Bro's playing shortstop. You know what I mean? So once Boo gets tired, it's gonna mess up your field more than likely, unless you intentionally draft a backup pitcher. But even then, he'll probably mess up your field. Diddy Kong doesn't really have that problem because he's a fantastic outfielder, and it gives you a lot more options to, not only switch, but also if you want to draft him as a relief pitcher too, you can do that as well. So again, you got options with him. At bat, you can go for a single, or you can start with him. Again, more options. So, I consider him to be better than Dixie Kong for pretty much that reason. Like I said, he can struggle to hit singles, but that's kind of like a player thing. So, actually, no, it's not because I harp on other characters for that. Yeah, he can struggle to get on base, but that's pretty much it. I actually do want to mention this. I didn't put this on the slide, but he is one of the best glitch bunters in the game. Glitch bunt is essentially when you bunt the ball and nobody fields it for a short while. I don't know if that really should count as a plus. Some people, don't like that. Some people ban bunting. I don't. But, I feel like I should mention that. He's one of the most consistent glitch bunters in the game. So, do that info what you will. Daisy. Another moderate. I think I put all that. Are these all moderately volatile? I don't know. Daisy's trending down. I hate to say it. Very fun character. Another versatile character. I think she's held back by her speed a lot. She's also I consider her a mediocre pitcher. I actually don't consider her that great of a pitcher. But, because her curve is pretty low. And in general, I don't feel like I have much control when I use her at the pitcher's mound. I feel like I have to just hard commit to one type of pitch instead of kind of going back and forth and trying to throw off the batter. I feel like I have to hard commit one way or the other. It's easier for the batter to make reads. Daisy, in my opinion, is much better at middle infield, so shortstop and second base. She's incredible there. And she's also got, quick throw, but again, I talked about stability already. Unless you have a good throwing arm, it's not that great of an ability. Anyway, she's a great middle infielder. And, like I said, decent pitcher. She also got Star Swing. I don't know why I didn't put this. Oh, no, I did put it on the slide. Okay, Star Swing. She's got a great Star Swing. The problem is that she's probably not going to be your captain, so it's going to cost you 2 stars. But her Star Swing, it blinds, the flower petals and everything. It blinds the opponent. It's more than likely going to land. And if you have runners on base, it's going to get you a lot of RBIs. So, pretty good Star Swing overall. If you're not using her Star Swing, then like I have this in the last point, she's gonna be a pretty safe pick, but she's not gonna be overwhelming. She's not gonna really fluster your opponent too much, like a character like Petey or Bowser would, or honestly even a high tier character. But she's a pretty safe pick overall. The reason that she's trending down and why she's moderately volatile is because players are less likely to pitch her now, and since there's an abundance of great middle infielders in this game, she doesn't really get to see the field too much. She's not really strapping on the cleats as much as she wants to, Like I said, the infield is pretty set at being Donkey Kong, Wario, Pianta, those guys. I'm forgetting one right now, but yeah, she doesn't really see the field too much anymore. And other pitchers are better, like Boo, Diddy, and Dixie. I think are the top 3, and more players are picking Goomba pitcher. So Goomba trends. I think as Goomba trends up, and other alternative pitchers trend up, Daisy's going to trend down. I think the emergence of Diddy Kong as an alternate pitcher too is also going to help with Daisy trend down. So, not looking good for Daisy. I think if people start using her as a captain, there's new ideas with changing the draft rules, which I might make another discussion video about this separate, but I really like it. And it encourages people to use alternative captains. And if Captain Daisy starts getting used more, so her Star Swing's 1 star, I can see her trend up a little bit. But other than that, I think she's on the way down. I mean, she's not taking the bottom tier. When I say trending down, I mean she might go down to B-. Like, she's still a solid character overall. Next on the list, Wario. I might as well talk about Wario and Pianta at the exact same time because they are very similar characters, actually. So they both fill the exact same role. They are middle infielders, so second base, shortstop. They're both fantastic there. I think Wario's slightly better. He's got a little bit more range than Pianta, at least, so I've been told. I haven't bothered to test it. But Wario is fantastic in the infield. Wario's also got a Star Swing, which is pretty good, though I think it's a little bit overrated, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Pianta, on the other hand, has laser ability. They both have a decent singles bat. And some home run potential. So they're pretty much the same character, which is why they're in their own tier together, which is why they're pretty much the same in my eyes. So let me talk about Wario. He's slow, which is a big drawback. I mean, Pianta is too, but just talking about the tier list, he's pretty slow, which means that he, even if he does get good hits, there's a good chance he gets out anyway because of his slow speed. Like, you see it with characters like Yoshi. Yoshi will hit a ground ball at third base and still be safe because he's just so goddamn fast. But Wario doesn't have that luxury. You have to get a really solid hit for him to get on base. And even sometimes, a bat, like a hit that will get Mario safe is not going to get Wario safe all the time. So I mentioned speed a lot because I think speed is a very big factor in this game. If you're slow, it's going to hold you back. What else? Oh, his Star Swing. So yeah, his Star Swing has counterplay. This is the problem with his Star Swing. Where his Star Swing, right? The ball goes up and splits into 2. Every single time I've ever seen... Hold on. Every single time I've ever seen a Wario Star Swing net a double or triple and, 3 RBIs is because the guy fielding will see the ball split in 2 and be like, oh, let me just guess. Screw it. And they dive at a random ball and they guess wrong. And then now they're diving at the wrong ball and they have to get up, walk, and then sprint over and pick up the other ball and then throw it in. And it's going to be a free 2 runs, free double for Wario at least. Disaster, okay? Here's what you do with Wario against the Star Swing. First of all, if they have 2 outs, then that sucks. That's the best scenario for his star swings when when the batter has 2 outs, because it's kind of just like you hope for the best. It's RNG at that point. If they have 2 outs, yeah, you just have to guess for a ball, but don't dive. Everyone dives to the ball. Just stand under it. Don't dive, please. Just stand under where you think it's gonna land. If you dive and you're wrong, it's even worse than just standing under it and being wrong. So don't dive at the ball. Now, if it's not 2 outs, this is where his star swing is much weaker than people think it is. So first of all, everyone thinks it's a 50-50. It's not. It is less than a 50-50. It's more like a 40-60. Because problem is that if Wario it splits into 2, right? There's a good chance that one of those 2 balls will split and go foul. If that happens, always try to field the ball that is going fair. Because if you try to field the ball that goes fair and you're wrong, then, the opponent probably spent 2 stars on a star swing that went foul. You still win. That's still a win for you. If you guess correctly, then you just got an out. Awesome. The opponent spent 2 stars on an out. It's still a win. Always try to field that, the fair ball. So in that case, it's not actually a true 50-50 because of the possibility of one of those balls being foul. And if one of those balls gets foul, it's such a huge advantage for the fielder. So, if there's less than 2 outs, runners on base, Wario does start swing, and it's fair. What do? Well, you stand in the middle, and you let the ball go to the ground. So, you're giving up the single, of course. But why? Why would that be a good idea? Well, if you guess wrong, then it's going to be free. It's probably going to be like a single or a double. Some of the base runners might be able to run in. Whereas if you just stand in the middle and let the ball drop and immediately go field it, you at least mitigate the damage. The reason why this works is that because if there's runners on base and there's less than 2 outs, the batter cannot send the runners. Because if they start sending runners, then you actually should go guess for a ball. Because if they send the runners and you guess correctly, the inning's over. If there's man on first and second, Wario starts with 0 outs, and they start sending the runners, and you guess correctly, that's 1 out. You throw it to first for 2 outs. You both the third. You throw it to second for 3 outs. Like it ends the inning. That's a triple play right there. And so the batter does not have the luxury to send the runners, which is why you should stand under it. They're probably gonna send them halfway and will hold. In which case, if you just let the ball drop and pick it up, it's only a single. And if they do send the runners, then you guess. If you guess wrong, then that's RNG. I can't help you there. But if you guess correctly, then the inning's over. This is why I said it's best for Wario to start with 2 outs, because then they can just send the runners with no repercussions. But if there's less than 2 outs, then they really don't have that luxury. And so, obviously, I mentioned this is just counterplay. This is not a counter, right? This is not going to negate his star swing. Every so often, you are going to guess wrong, and it is going to work. It's a good start. It's a great star swing. I'm not trying to deny that, but there is counterplay to it, and that not enough people use. And I think if people start to incorporate that, people will realize that it's not that good of a star swing. It's still great, but not that good as people make it out to be. So I think knowing that is why I put him slightly lower than Pianta. Now to finally talk about Pianta, I pretty much mentioned everything with Wario. Incredible middle infielder. Again, we're trading the star swing for laser. Home run potential. Oh, I mentioned this too, late charge. The idea with these two, they're pretty much the same character. Again, if you charge late, you actually have a better chance of hitting a home run than if you were to charge early. The whole idea with late charge too is that if you don't get the timing correctly for a home run, you're probably going to get a line drive single, which is actually very good. So you're either going to hit a swing for the fences or it's going to be a single, which is actually very good. Pretty underrated. So the comparison between these characters essentially comes down to, what do you think is better, Laser or Wario Star Swing? What do you value more? Now, personally, I think Laser's, I value that a little better because it's an incredibly good ability. But Wario Star Swing is also fantastic. Again, the only reason I consider Laser be better is because Wario Star Swing costs 2 stars and is very situational. Whereas Laser is incredibly consistent. Laser is always going to be Laser, You're never going to throw to third. You're never going to throw the ball home, and the game's going to be like, actually, no, it's not going to work this time, right? Whereas that can happen with Wario Star Swing. So, in general, I consider Laser to just because of consistency. and it's reliable. I value that more than Wario Star Swing. Unless Wario's your captain, which again, under new draft rules, like I said, is going to trend up a little bit, so maybe that'll give Wario actually a slight edge in this tier list. At the end of the day, though, they're both X Factor. You know, Pianta's +1, Wario's -1, they're in the same tier. We can go ahead and debate these two characters all day, but they're essentially the same in my eyes, so it's kind of a pointless discussion. But yeah, I just personally value laser ability more. That's really all it comes down to when you're talking about these two characters. So that's gonna round out the mid tiers. Next, we're gonna get into the high tiers next, and this is where things are gonna get interesting. Things are gonna get a little more. Actually, I think they've been already controversial enough. I think people don't like Waluigi and Peach's placement, but